Our next speaker is Patricia Burke from the Milwaukee Public Museum, and it'll be on Giants of the Ordovician Sea.
Good morning. So my fossil, how do I go up?
Any button.
Oh, okay. These are orthoconic cephalopods, and they are from the Middle Ordovician, and they tell a very interesting story, actually two stories. One is the fossil themselves, that they lived 450 million years ago. They were giant. They could get as long as 15 feet. You can find a lot of them if you go to Coorough. In fact, we have a huge collection of them. But, and James Hall first named the genus. But what I found most interesting was they came into our collection. They were collected by members of the Natural History Society of Wisconsin. And it actually, I've translated that because it was actually German Americans who created this Natural History Society over 170 years ago. 170 years ago. And it started out as a German immigrant who was escaping he was a refugee, a political refugee after the Prussian Revolution. He was on the losing side. He had to get out of town fast. And he landed in Milwaukee, and he was a teacher. So the German-American school hired him to teach. And he embraced Alexander von Humboldt's view that learning shouldn't just be done by books. You had to get out and see the world as it was happening. And so he started taking groups of his school kids out to collect. But then the parents started wanting to join him. So then he decided they should form this Natural History Society. So in 1849, they formed a Natural History Society, the Natural History von Wisconsin. And that went on for a while, and collections kept coming in. They had him on a shelf in the school, and then they gave a whole room to this museum. And you can see that when they're collecting things that can be 15 feet long, it starts to take up a lot of the classroom space. So they moved it to an actual separate building, but they were still maintaining it as just the Natural History Society was maintaining this. And these members really lusted after knowledge because they did this in their spare time. They went out, they collected minerals and fossils and botanical specimens, and by the early 1900s, it was huge. They could no longer maintain it, but Milwaukee was under control of a socialist government, and the Natural History Society offered their collections to the city government as a free public museum. And their mission was to arouse and sustain an interest in the study of nature, and especially of facts and materials pertaining to the natural history of Wisconsin. So they donated their entire collection with a promise that the city of Milwaukee would provide care and display for all of Milwaukee's citizens. And that tradition is holding on, sort of, in Milwaukee. We still have a public museum. It's owned by the county, and it does have free access, not all of the time, but free access to our collections. Thank you.